Flameng Emma, 19 ans, Ham-sur-Eure, servant, parti pour Tiverton. Vijf van der Steen, 50 ans, Bruxelles, sans profession, partir pour Tiverton. Van der Steen Nelly, 23 ans, Bruxelles, sans profession, partir pour Tiverton. Struis Jean, 49 ans, Marcinelle Charleroi, rentier propriétaire, partir pour Exmouth.
During the whole of this time, I've seen the girls in the office, my own younger relations included, attempting too much for their strength or experience. I have perhaps been foolishly hurt by some messages and unfortunate letters sent to me during the last few months. People with grievances are detestable, and I shall only remember for the future the charming hospitality and kindness which you and Lady Fortescue showed me in the early days of the Belgian work, before I grew old and tired, and perhaps cross. Yours ever, Clara Andrew.
I have been invited to cheer Miss Andrew on in her new job, whatever it may be. I rather hope it will take her somewhere out of reach of the post. It seems to me the whole incident is over, and we need say no more. If only she would stop writing letters.
Struis Celeste, 37 ans, Marcinelle Charleroi, partir pour Exmouth. Struis Charles, 6 ans, Marcinelle Charleroi, partir pour Exmouth. Pierre Germaine, femme de chambre, partir pour Exmouth. Lambert Auréa, 24 ans, Marcinelle Charleroi, cook, partir pour Exmouth. Dubois Camille, 44 ans, Marcinelle Charleroi, partir pour Clifton Hill, Exeter.
I don't like them centrifugal boats with booms. They're all right for fine weather, but if the wind catches a sail the wrong side, 'twill upset they. They calls me an old fool for jogging along in my old craft, but I've known these seas for 50 years and more, and I tell 'ee, that 2 oars be better than 2 reefs any day. But if the seas take charge of one of they boats running for the wind, all up, they spins like a top and jibes. There, the wind be softening now. I've known they puff thunder puffs come down on thee like a hurricane. 'Tis blowing out the channel now. The horizon's black, see? 'Twill back and blow from the northeast in here tonight, but there'll be east to southeast in the channel, and with these flood tides running up against it, you'll see what I mean.
Tuesday, Rotterdam, 11 p.m. Under cover of the grey dawn this morning, a flotilla of German submarines crept up among 3 English patrol cruisers and in a little over an hour had torpedoed and sunk them all, with great loss of life. The ships destroyed were the Aboukir, Cressy and Hogue. The story of their end forms one of the most noble chapters in the history of the British Navy. The Cressy and the Hogue were lost because instead of saving themselves, they remained to save the lives of their comrades who were struggling in the water.
He was always so bright and cheerful. I was very friendly with him, and we all got on very well with him on the ship. I saw him on the quarterdeck when the ship was sinking. And that was the last I saw of him. It has been a terrible thing, and I feel awfully sorry because I did so like Riley.
My dear Mrs. Riley, thank you very much for the ripping watch. I've just been longing for that kind all the time. They are so very useful on a ship doing night work. I'm afraid it won't need the luminous light to remind me of your darling son. I am continually thinking of him and cried like a child when I saw his name amongst the missing.
By the time the sun is out on the south of the easternmost headland, we are perhaps a mile or 2 out. When the mackerel are biting well, we are hauling them in, swiftly, silently, grimly. Bang them off the hook, going psst, they fall back into the sea, cutting baits from fish not dead. And if the mackerel will not bite at all, we invent a score of reasons and blame a dozen people and things. But there we are, ourselves, the sea, and the heavenly dawn. The sea heaving up to us, and ourselves, ever heaving higher, up and over the lock. At the end, the meeting resolved itself into a pitiful scene, with a man half crazed with having his crew called up, including a hand who's notoriously blind, and yet has not been sent back as unfit. He blazed at the government, at unfairness. I told them that war is the overriding of fairness by force, and that goes, and must go, right down through. That neither is there any fairness in a bullet finding one man and not another, or in one man's ship being sunk and not another's. No insult, no slur was flung at me. I was not even heckled. The meeting broke up in complete silence. We were all sad together.
We took a discharged man home to Ashburton. It was a rotten day. The poor fellow was a complete wreck, having a large hole in his back. He was quite unable to walk and never will be able to. I should think it will not be very long before he goes west. I shall never forget the mother's face when she saw him. Her expression was a mixture of horror and gladness, an expression in which horror predominated. The poor lad was rather taken aback for a minute, but luckily there were some other relations there whose welcoming home was very comforting. Those who can walk are brought straight from the trains, weary and mud-stained and packed into cars which travel quickly off into the night. The poor fellows almost fall asleep before they arrive at their destinations. Of course, I took nothing but stretcher cases, and many are the human wrecks I have brought in the dark hours before the dawn. Coming back from lunch, I saw Miss Buller going into Dix's field. A minute later, Pierce passed and gave me a lift into the garage. A matter of about 20 yards. About the middle of the afternoon, a written message came from headquarters. Miss Buller does not think it looks nice to see the lady drivers riding behind the men on the motorbike. Such cheek! I never heard anything like it. Neither Pierce nor I were a bit troubled, only exceedingly wrathful. She has no authority over us. Thank goodness.
Yesterday, I reported Samuel John White, farmer of Skinner's Farm, Salcombe Regis, for failing to send in sheep dipping return form B of sheep dipped on 24th of July. The return was not sent until the 3rd of September. He said in excuse, "I'm sorry I forgot to send in the form as I have been busy about harvest." Today, I reported Ernestine Syriac, French subject, 29, governess of the Mount Farringham in Kent, for entering Sidmouth prohibited area without an identity book. I reported Lillian Lobenhofer, aged 40, born in Stuttgart, Germany, companion to Baroness Gutenberg of Munich, now on holiday, staying at Sidbury. A grey motorcar using number 24144 about 3 weeks ago was seen at Countess Weir going towards Dawlish. It was again over at Exmouth on the 11th, and the occupants are supposed to be acting prejudicial to this country. Special watch is to be kept for the car, and if seen, the occupants are to be arrested and the car detained. I reported Philip Tucker of Wilcombe Farm, Farway, for allowing a goat to stray on the highway at Vicarage Road, Sidbury, at 8 a.m. on Thursday.
I'm getting up a concert at the Assembly Rooms here on June the 1st for the local ambulance corps and the Children's Welfare League. Having exhausted the local talent and having seen reports of the excellent work done by your smart set, I'm writing to ask if you would come and help me, of course. I would pay rail fare, and I should see that you went on the programme at a time that would enable you to catch the 9:30 from here.
In aid of the Bovey Tracy Cottage Hospital, Miss Nina Coates presents The Smart Set of Exeter at the Town Hall, Bovey Tracy, on Wednesday, February 7th. Artistes are as follows: Miss Marjorie Birchall, juvenile dancer and elocutionist. Miss Frida Street, vocalist. Miss Mary Jupp, accompanist. Miss Gwynnie Street, vocalist and dancer. Miss Dolly Samuels, comedienne. Miss Millie Hill, toe dancer and vocalist. And me, Miss Nina Coates, vocalist and manageress. Doors open 7 p.m, tickets 2 shillings, 1 shilling, and a limited number at 6p. Children under 12 are half price.
Dick done strafing the Huns somewhere in France today. Keeps fit, doing his bit, up to his eyes in clay. Each night after a fight to pass the time along, he's got a little gramophone that plays this song. Take me back to dear old Blighty, put me on the train for London town. Take me over there, drop me anywhere, Birmingham, Leeds or Manchester, well I don't care. I should love to see my best girl, cuddling up again we soon should be. Whoa! Diddly-iddly-ighty, hurry me back to Blighty. Blighty is the place for me. One day, Mickey O'Shea out in a trench somewhere, so brave, having a shave, trying to part his hair. Mick yells, dodging the shells and lumps of dynamite. Talk of the Crystal Palace on a firework night. Take me back to dear old Blighty, put me on the train for London town. Take me over there, drop me anywhere, Birmingham, Leeds or Manchester, well I don't care. I should love to see my best girl, cuddling up again we soon should be. Whoa! Diddly-iddly-ighty, hurry me back to Blighty. Blighty is the place for me.
Wednesday, the 6th of December, 1916. A visit of wounded soldiers to Wesley Hall, Buller Road, St Thomas, Exeter. An afternoon concert commencing at 2:30 p.m. Miss Nina Coates presents The Smart Set. Programme as follows. Part 1, opening chorus, The Smart Set. Song, only a faded rose, Miss Gwynnie Street. Recitation, The House with the Open Door, Miss Marjorie Birchall. Song, selected, Miss Frida Street. A concerted number, Do They All Go to See the Sea, The Smart Set. Duet, Dreamy Lullaby, Mrs. Coates and Hill. Scotch song, selected, Miss Gwynnie Street. Another, selected, Miss Frida Street. A mandolin solo named Hilarity by Miss Nina Coates. Song, Impressions, Miss Millie Hill. Concerted number, Everybody Two-Step, The Smart Set. A brief intermission before commencing part 2. Pianoforte solo, Return of the Troops, Miss Marjorie Birchall. Concerted number, Out in the Open, The Smart Set. Song, Mary Jane is Making Ammunition, Miss Nina Coates. Another selected song, Miss Millie Hill. Another, My Heart is Calling You, Miss Gwynnie Street. A duet, If You Were the Only Girl in the World, Mrs. Coates and Hill.
Sometimes when I feel bad and things look blue, I wish a girl I had, say one like you. Someone within my heart to build a throne. Someone would never part to call my own. If you were the only girl in the world, and I were the only boy, nothing else would matter in the world today. We could go on loving in the same old way. A garden of Eden just made for two, with nothing to mar our joy. I would say such wonderful things to you. There would be such wonderful things to do if you were the only girl in the world, and I were the only boy.
Recitation, My Soldier Daddy, Miss Marjorie Birchall.
As I strolled one evening by the light of the moon so fair, these words of a tiny infant came to me on the balmy air. Oh, why did the angels bring me to earth, an orphan to dwell? For out of the Flanders fields tonight my soldier daddy fell. Oh, my soldier daddy, a soldier brave and true, my fair young mother by my side grieves ever and on for you. But while she weeps, your baby sleeps, bearing your name with pride. As I was leaving heaven, he met me at the gate. He gave me a kiss for mother and bade me a moment wait. Then he said, you must love, protect her, and to the world this message tell. Daddy made the sacrifice, that his son might in freedom dwell.
2 other songs selected by the Miss Frida Street and Miss Minnie Hill. Recitation, Flo's Letter, Miss Marjorie Birchall. Another song, Every Little While, Miss Grinny Street. And another selected by Miss Frida Street. Concerted number, Tommy and Jack, by the full smart set before ending with God Save the King.
Dear Miss Coates, I hardly know how to thank you and your concert party for the magnificent contribution of £11. I can assure you that your concerts here were very highly appreciated by us all, and especially the wounded soldiers who attended from this hospital. Will you please convey to one and all in your party our most grateful thanks, and also a special vote of thanks to the little one who recited and sang so sweetly. Yours sincerely, Matron, Bovey Tracy Cottage Hospital.
This must look silly better in Ward 10.
Oh, I couldn't say. He was ever so upset this morning. It was really quite dreadful to see.
He had a letter from his mother.
Oh, did he?
It seemed to upset him.
Oh, my goodness, that poor woman.
It was quite different to the other hospitals, so I have decided to go and work there, beginning on Monday week. It's the most beautiful hut with 75 beds in it, and they've got a man orderly, which makes all the difference. I work from 9:30 to 2, and I don't find the work a bit of a rush or frightfully strenuous. The girls are very nice, and so is the sister. I loathed the sister in the other hospital, and she hated me, so we didn't get on very well together.
Just as the soldiers suffer, so do their families.
It's the women left at home who makes me worry.
But we must do our bit, Vera.
Oh, absolutely, but really, what else can we do?
Hospital Sophie Berthelot, Calais, the 2nd of February, 1915. Dear Dad, for heaven's sake, don't distribute those horrible photos of me to all my friends and relations. I hope to send you some better ones soon. I sent a parcel home the other day by a chap who was crossing, containing a German helmet, all complete, 2 pieces of the nose of a shell, and a Belgian dart that they throw from their aeroplanes. This latter one is new and has not been used. The helmet's not like the usual ones, which all have the metal parts of brass. I do not know if this is an officer's helmet or some special regiment. The black and white badge on one side is of the Prussian badge. We've got something decided at last. That is that this hospital is under the orders of the Belgian government now, and when the fighting begins again, we shall move up nearer the fighting than we are now. The fighting will not begin in earnest until the ground dries up considerably. This means that we're sure of the work if we wait long enough, and at the present time there is comparative idleness everywhere. I expect it will be truly terrible when it does begin. I believe Kitchener said that the war will begin in the spring. Personally, I'm sure that the summer will be more dreadful than what we've had yet. The Germans will make every effort to crush the Allies, and we shall need every effort to crush the Germans, but it will be no easy job. It's not likely that I shall be able to get home after the fighting begins until probably the end of the war. For though my contract will be up in April, I think every man will be needed. When I say the end of the war, I mean until negotiations for peace are underway, probably when the wet weather begins in the autumn. By the way, I bought that helmet. It's the only one I've seen with plated fittings. I shall try and get a brass-fitted one too. They all laugh at me for my collecting propensities. Some suggest I should open a museum when I get back.
Second of February, 1915. In view of precautions which have been taken in various museum and art galleries to guard against the consequences of air raids, I should like to ask the committee whether they are satisfied with the existing conditions here. Perhaps it might be as well to inform all those who have lent specimens that we are not prepared to accept any responsibility for damage caused by aircraft or invasion. th of March, 1917. The end of the financial year offers a favourable opportunity for again calling the attention of the committee to the increasing difficulty in finding accommodation for our steadily growing collections. And this, in spite of the fact that development along certain lines were almost completely checked at the beginning of the war. Although we have aimed at reducing expenditure in every possible way, our efforts have been nullified by the call for increased expenditure on the exterior of the building. I find that 3 years have passed since we were able to afford one of the new cabinets which are so greatly needed. While fully conscious of the great difficulty of taking any steps to improve matters at the present time, I venture to hope that the committee will sympathetically consider the position, so that when peace returns, we may be able to take a step forward. 16th of July, 1918. Our newly appointed governor, Mr. Willoughby S. Smith, has presented a copy of the limited issue of War Drawings by Muirhead Bone, comprising 52 signed proofs of scenes at the front, with the Grand Fleet and in munition works. We are now preparing the whole set for exhibition on screens in the art gallery, where they will arouse much interest. A very valuable contribution has been made by Mr. A. W. Bruford in the shape of an Exeter apostle spoon given by an old age pensioner to the Red Cross sale in London. Mr. Bruford purchased the spoon for presentation to the city, and it has been placed in our collection upstairs. 9th of October, 1918. I should be glad if the committee will take into consideration the possibility of providing a few comfortable seats in our picture galleries. We get many visitors, including wounded soldiers, by whom such seats would be greatly appreciated. I would also suggest the desirability of providing a gas fire in the curator's room. By substituting gas for coal, we might, I consider, effect a saving of fuel and labour.
Tuesday, cold and snowy. I tended the cattle and went up to Gidley Park rabbiting a bit. Very, very cold. Went up to Creeber to spend the evening, but no games, only talky. Nina and Mary went over to see Thurza married at Widden Down. Wednesday. I stayed home quiet and peaceful like and rested. William is taking in rick corn for George Webber and threshing.
Sunday, July 16th, 1916, Stoke Woods. Hooper tells me he saw the other day, for the first time, a large doe rabbit chasing a stoat. Dull and showery, 6 p.m. While the rain falls, the birds are hushed and hidden for the most part. The bees seem to work steadily on, and flies are in no way disconcerted. A large plant bug is stationary on an exposed leaf. Drops of moisture stand on his body. Small moths occasionally flit from bush to bush, but butterflies are absolutely invisible. When hot, the flies are troublesome, and pitching upon one's eyelids or tickling one's nose, blundering into one's ears, distract one's attention from the object we were intent upon. The rain stops, and the birds recommence calling to each other. I sit down under some bushes, and presently I hear a rustle from the ground close by, and the dry leaves lift with spasmodic heaves. The cause is a vole or mouse. I do not see it, save really for when he emerges for a moment. I wonder if he sees me. In the deep of the woods, where the dead leaves lie thickest, I hear loud rustlings as though some person was trying to move with quietness and utterly failing to do so. A stealthy approach reveals a blackbird scratching upon the leaves violently and pecking suddenly for its food. When disturbed, it flies away quietly, quite unlike its behaviour when disturbed from nest or hedgerow. It is not the butterfly hunter striding through the grass and brushing through the herbage who see the most, but the silent, slowly moving observer with eyes and ears alert, who covers no distance to speak of, but makes long pauses. Company is a disadvantage. One must be alone with nature to get intimate with her, and being so, one is yet in the very best of company. Sunday, July 23rd, 1916, Stoke Woods. Took photos of nest formica rufa, 2 stick lengths each way. Watched one ant run about on my hand. When I teased him, he did his best to pierce my skin with his mandibles, but my skin was apparently too tough. Presently he found a place a little softer, and then I felt the slight bite. It is a very hot afternoon, and the striking thing is the almost complete quietness of the birds, save for the frequent screech of the jay. I took photos of a spider web on furze.